Before we start our first plenary, we would like to thank our sponsors. Chairman Circle Level, Al-Amoudi Group, Zenel Group, Safe Group. Benefactor Level, General Electric, Shaw, Saeed Ali Ghudran and Sons, Exxon, Al-Jumaih Group. Patron Level, TCW, Coca-Cola, Khalid Ali At-Turki, Dow, JP Morgan, SABIC, Al-Faisaliya Group, National Commercial Bank, Supporter Group, Flour, Boeing, and Chevron. At sponsor level, Riyadh Bank, Northern Trust, King and Spalding, Gulf International Bank, Catton Mutin Rosenman, Saudi Arabian Airlines, Bechtel, Canon Design, and ACOM. Ladies and gentlemen, the topic of our first panel of the day is education, investing in human capital. The moderator is Mr. Steve Clemons, Director of the American Strategy Program for the New America Foundation. Today's panelists are His Highness Prince Faisal Bin Abdullah Al-Saud, Minister of Education, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The Honorable Anthony Miller, Deputy Secretary of Education, U.S. Department of Education. His Excellency, Dr. Khalid Al-Sabti, Vice Minister, Ministry of Education, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The Honorable General James B. Smith, United States Ambassador to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Mr. Jeff Barnes, Leader, Global Leadership Development, GE.
Good to be with all of you. I'm Steve Clemons. I am, as noted, with the New America Foundation, but more recently, I've recently become editor-at-large of the Atlantic Monthly magazine. I hope all of you are subscribers. I am here not only because this is a fantastic forum that I was so pleased to attend 2 years ago, but many years ago I met Minister Abdullah Ali Reza, who I didn't know he was such an important guy, actually. He stopped by the New America Foundation. It had been a hot, sweaty day in D.C., sleeves were rolled up, and we pounded out some ideas, and we had a very honest and interesting exchange. And I think it's nice to meet people and to become friends and associated without titles and without formalities. And I hope we try and achieve some of that here today, though we have an alarmingly distinguished group of people up here. But I think today, and one of the things that I'm very pleased about in this conference is that we're opening the session discussing education. It doesn't happen often enough in I think our country. Perhaps it happens more in Saudi Arabia. Last evening I had to miss the world of Coca-Cola and the fantastic dinner I heard all of you had as I was hosting and moderating a dinner in Charlotte with the president of the College Board, the former governor of West Virginia, Gaston Caperton. We had with us the chancellor of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, who had been earlier in the day with President Obama and Secretary of Education Arne Duncan in the White House, talking about the costs of higher education in the United States and how that was impacting our profile. But yesterday evening's dinner with about 20 people really captured a microcosm, at least in the U.S. case, of the broad backbone of everything from K through 12 throughout the educational sector, but then also included people from the Chamber of Commerce and the head of the Restaurant Association, folks in different sectors, and looking at this question of what is the ecosystem that we have in terms of replenishing our youth, of creating continuing education opportunities. And I have to tell you that while this dinner was great in the diversity of views that were presented, it was a depressing evening. Because what you saw is that people at different levels canceled each other out. That the conversation on education is one that's very complex, no silver bullets, and I think we're going to try to get at some of that, and I think in the Saudi case as well, that education today, and one of the reasons why I think it's so important to share best practices and talk about what's going on across national boundaries, look for other models and examples, is that's a cooperative way to look at education, because one of the nasty truths about education in the world today is it's also becoming a highly tuned in competitive issue that we're beginning to see particularly, I've just returned from China and have been watched in an industrial zone, the phenomenal management of the educational development, continuing education of hundreds of thousands of workers around one industrial zone. And when I look at that and say, compare that to what might be going on in New Mexico or Kansas, perhaps Georgia has it figured out. But I have to tell you, it's very, very impressive. And education and the skill sets that a country can bring to bear on its challenges are part of the basic competitiveness of countries today. We have a fantastic panel to help take us into this terrain. And we're going to offer each about 10 to 12 minutes. I will be friendly, but there will be a hook that comes out if folks go on much longer. We may give you a couple more minutes. We'll see.
I already borrowed some from my
Yeah, I can imagine you have no problem getting others to offer you minutes in their time. But with us we have Prince Faisal Bin Abdullah Al-Saud, the Minister of Education of Saudi Arabia, the Honorable Anthony Miller, the Deputy Secretary of Education. So good to have him with us here today. Khaled Al-Sabti, the Vice Minister of the Ministry of Education. It's great. We were on the panel 2 years ago, so good to have you back. General James Smith, as mentioned from our ambassador to Saudi Arabia, and Jeff Barnes, who heads Global Leadership Development for GE. So, Prince, Your Highness, it is your turn. Thank you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Excellencies, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and happy holiday to you all. I'm pleased to be with you today and be part of the U.S.-Saudi Business Opportunities Forum. Since the formal establishment of Saudi Arabia in 1932, the U.S. has always been a trusted development partner. And we take special pride in celebrating the extraordinary achievements that benefit the people of both countries. Saudi Arabia is committed to strengthen these ties even further as we move together to seize new opportunities ahead of us. I'm confident that the positive outcomes of this forum will contribute significantly to our shared understanding of these opportunities. Saudi Arabia is strongly committed to fulfill its national, regional, and international obligation. We are an integral part of this world, and we are strongly dedicated to its peace, stability, and well-being. Our country is at the very heart of the Islamic and Arab world, a role that it has fulfilled with wisdom, moderation, and responsibility. It's a home to Islam's two holy cities in Mecca and Medina, and 5 times a day, more than 1.5 billion people turns to Mecca to offer their prayers. We are honored to shoulder the responsibility of serving as custodian of these holy places. On many international platforms, Saudi Arabia has been a strong advocate of peace and stability, which have always been prerequisites to trade. For this, Saudi Arabia has spearheaded effort at the United Nations to establish a center for counterterrorism, aiming to address the root cause of violence globally and to share best practices for dealing with it. Recently, we also worked with many partners to establish King Abdullah Bin Abdulaziz International Center for Interfaith and Intercultural Dialogue in Vienna to bring world religions closer to each other. In addition, King Abdullah has funded the Messengers of Peace program, which was established by the World Scout Foundation to promote peace globally. We are a nation of peace and have never spared any effort to work with our partners to promote it on our planet. Under the vision and the leadership of King Abdullah, our country has pursued pro-trade policies and has aspired to become an investor-friendly country. Today, we are on the leaders in the region. We are one of the leaders in the region for the penetration and the use of broadband networking technologies. In parallel to these investments, we have introduced major regulatory reforms to promote private sector participation in the economy. We're already seeing increased dividends to our policies, as illustrated by the number of foreign investors and the leading international companies making the kingdom their destination. For these investments to achieve their development objectives, we understand that it is imperative to invest in human capital. Our youth represent the most sustainable resource for the development of the country, providing us with long-term returns even when the natural resource of oil is depleted. Their creativity, talent, and innovation is what will strengthen and sustain our nation's competitiveness and consistent advancement. Speaking of the critical importance of education for the development of the U.S. in the 1960s, President Kennedy said, "Our progress as a nation can be no swifter than our progress in education. The human mind is our fundamental resource." Nowhere is this statement truer, perhaps, than it is in Saudi Arabia today. The human mind is indeed our fundamental resource that will be developed through a solid, modern, and efficient education system. Ladies and gentlemen, our education development journey is a special example in the Middle East and North Africa. In 1932, when King Abdulaziz unified our country, there were very few schools in the country, serving a very limited number of Saudi youth. Today, there are over 33,000 schools serving close to 5 million students, or almost 1/3 of the total population of the country. Taught by close to 500,000 teachers, the growth rate of the last 40 years has been remarkable. The number of students, schools, and teachers double every 10 years, providing equal access opportunities for both male and female throughout the country. To keep up with the growing enrollment, our K-12 and higher education budget has grown very rapidly. Between 2000 and 2011 alone, it has tripled to reach 40 billion, or 26% of our national budget this year. We are confident that the return on our investment will be very high for our country as a whole, as it will make it more competitive on a global scale. In its 2010 report entitled "The Real Wealth of Nation: Pathway to Human Development," the United Nations Development Programme ranked Saudi Arabia among the top 10 achievers in the world in the health and education over the last 40 years. Under the vision and the leadership of the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Abdullah bin Abdulaziz, our country has launched one of the largest human capital development efforts of its history. At the higher education level, we have launched many initiatives, including establishment of many universities led by King Abdullah's University of Science and Technology, a world-class co-educational university to develop the next generation of scientists and leaders from Muslim and non-Muslim countries. Muslim scholars of the Middle Ages played a major role in the advancement of science in the world as we know it today. We hope that Dar al-Hikmah, as King Abdullah named it, meaning the house of wisdom, will be the hub for scientific revival. In the same direction, we recently established Princess Noura University, the world's largest female university to encourage women education in the kingdom. In addition, our country has launched one of the largest study abroad scholarship programs, allowing more than 130,000 of our female and male students to study at some of the best universities in the world, including many top-ranked universities here in the US, which has received more than 50,000 students. In the K-12 system that I am honored to lead, the Ministry of Education has embarked on a unique journey to improve the quality of its service. What set us apart from other education improvement efforts are not just the content of the reform, but also the approach we are adopting to implement it. A set of strategic directions guided our efforts. First, restructuring the education system to make it an active, decentralized, and innovative system. Second, setting up an innovative arrangement to spearhead our development effort. Thus, we launched King Abdullah bin Abdul Aziz Public Education Development Project Tatweer with $2.4 billion to lead the reform. We also established a government-owned company, the Tatweer Holding Company, to implement the reform and to facilitate building an educational business cluster with the cooperation of local and international partners, aiming to bring added value and sustainability to our investment through public-private partnership. We are already in the process of establishing a few subsidiaries for core and non-core education service. The goal of the Tatweer Holding Company is not to compete with the private sector, but to serve as a catalyst for its emergence and growth. Moreover, we are establishing an independent regulator to set world-class standards for both public and private schools, and to evaluate the system as a whole and its main element, such as students, teachers, schools, and curriculum. Ladies and gentlemen, this year we have worked with a US firm to develop a long-term strategy to guide our reform. The strategy adopted a systematic approach to improvement that helps us move away from isolated interventions to a more holistic approach to reform. My colleague, Dr. Khalid Al-Sabti, our Vice Minister, will speak in more detail about our new educational strategy. However, I wish to highlight a few initiatives to illustrate the depth and breadth of our efforts. We have launched a major initiative to strengthen the place of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics in our educational system, fully convinced that our ability to compete in an increasingly globalized world depends on our effort to expand the pool of scientists, mathematicians, and engineers who will be the source of innovation in our economy. As a first step, we have aligned our STEM standards to the standard of the best performing education system in the world by working with our partner, McGraw-Hill, to develop a world-class math and science curriculum. Further, we have launched a major professional development program to train our teachers on the new curriculum. In addition, we have started establishing science centers throughout the country, building through public-private partnership. These centers will provide our students, their teachers, and the community at large with a space where they can experience science and innovation. As you can see, we are going beyond the walls of our schools to leverage the support and commitment of our private and community partners to make our development effort a success. Starting this year, we have also introduced English in the 4th grade. In an increasingly globalized world that uses English as a language of science, technology, and business, we are committed to giving all our students the capabilities they need to communicate in this very important language. Together with STEM and English, we are expanding access to early childhood education at an unprecedented rate. This is an initiative that is very close to King Abdullah's heart, who has fully supported it since its launch. Last year, we opened 1 preschool a day on average. Our target for this year is 2.7 a day. We are committed to providing all our children with a successful early start. Ladies and gentlemen, change of this depth and breadth cannot be dictated solely from the top. No 2 schools are exactly alike, and therefore, no 2 schools can be subjected to the exact same development recipe. Only by putting each and every school in the driver's seats with respect to their own development, we can create the enabling conditions to help every boy and girl in the kingdom succeed, to help every boy and a girl in the kingdom to succeed. This is the core of the new vision of our educational system of the future, increasing the autonomy of schools and districts and transforming them into learning organizations. It is in this spirit that we have launched a major initiative to build the capacity of schools and districts to assume their own development role. As you can see, our reform effort to transform our current education system is to serve an emerging knowledge economy. Do not stop with the improving curricula, introducing technologies, or investing in teaching training. Critical as they are also accompanied by transformation in the overall governance structure of our educational system. So the resources and development energy focuses on matters, namely student learning. Educational change is a long, challenging, and delicate process. It takes vision, determination, hope, and positive attitude. With the vision, leadership, and the commitment of King Abdullah, however, we have been able to address our reform challenges with a lot of courage and confidence. Recently, King Abdullah announced that women will participate in the municipal election and be member of the Al-Shura Council in the coming term in 2013. This is part of the social infrastructure development and adaptation of maturity model for opening new space for women to participate in the socio-economic development of their country. It is this vision of inclusion and openness that gives me confidence we will succeed in our journey to transform our education system into a world-class system. Over the years, Saudi Arabia has benefited greatly from many US educational models which have been implemented successfully in the country. We must build on this relationship to advance our objectives of trade, partnership, and shared progress. Thank you. Thank you.